Bonjour, je m'appelle Fatoumata, j'ai 15 ans.
Je suis née en Turquie.
J'ai 16 ans, je suis née en Italie. Je suis chinoise.
Tenho 14 anos que eu estou aqui.
Εγώ γεννηθήκα από την Ελλάδα.
Bonjour, moi c'est Melissa.
وعايش هنا في بروكسل من 2008.
Je viens d'Afrique, Rwanda, je suis né là-bas.
Je suis née à Goiânia, Goiás.
I live for Bruxelles 10 years.
Belle-ville, napolitain, tout le monde se mélange.
Brussels. There are more than 180 nationalities living here and more than 100 languages spoken amongst a population of 1.2 million people. 2 in 3 people were born abroad, partly because this city is the de facto capital of Europe, hosting the headquarters of the main EU institutions. There's also a large Congolese community dating back to Belgium's colonial days and migrants from other countries. All this makes Brussels the second most cosmopolitan city in the world after Dubai. So what does this diversity mean for the cultural life of a city? And what role does culture play in helping this mix of people live together? On stage at Brussels' famed Botanique music venue is Nawaris, a duo that performs traditional Iraqi music fused with classical and jazz. The Oriental Oud is played by Iraqi refugee Hussein Rassim. His partner Juliet is on the cello.
Merci. It was amazing. The sound was really clear and special. Belgians, they are open to listen to new stuff.
Yes, we feel warm to play here.
Hussein fled Iraq in 2015. His first experience of Brussels was in Maximilian Park, where he was welcomed by a group of volunteers who ran a camp for refugees. So this park is the first place you slept in when you first arrived in Brussels. Tell us about your journey to this park.
Yeah, it's a special place. I arrived here 3 years ago and I started helping for 2-3 weeks, sleeping also with in a tent and helping other who just come, and it was a lot of organization, a lot of tents, food. Yeah, we are a lot of volunteers from different cultures and countries.
3 years on, Hussein has a partner, Juliet, who's from France, and a daughter, Alea.
I'm born in Iraq, and in Iraq it's a bit complicated country. And it was not easy for me to continue living there, for security, of course, but also a community problem that I don't feel that I belong to the place. So yes, I took my chance. I fly to Turkey, take the boat to Kos, and then to Athens. I took another boat to Athens, and from Athens, train, etc., until I arrived in Brussels. It was a 12 days journey. I always was looking for the light.
What's the refugee experience like in Brussels? Because I think 20,000 people asked for asylum last year. Only 40% of those people got it.
Yeah, we have to wait. So when I arrived in 2015, and it was August in the summer, end of the summer, I spent 8 months, something like that, until I got my positive answer. Some people get 3 times negative and they have to fight for it again and again and again. It's very hard, and life in a camps, it's not an easy life. When you live with 12 people in one room, it's not a life that people dream of.
Hussein had to leave his instrument, his oud, in Iraq. Through crowdfunding organised by people in Brussels, he got a new one. Here he rediscovered his music, and he found love.
I met Hussein at dinner. He had his oud, and we played for the first time together. And it was the 30th of October.
Which is the birthday of Elia, also 2 years after.
Oh, wow! It's a special day.
Yes, yes it is.
Together, Hussein and Juliet have made a documentary called The Way Back, where they retrace his journey from Iraq to Brussels.
My brother.
لم يعد شيء له معنى. حتى يوما ما رأيت مجموعة من اللاجئين يهربون إلى أوروبا. لم أفكر كثيرا. رحلت من تركيا إلى اليونان مبحرا بقارب.
Hussein is among thousands of refugees who come to Belgium every year. In 2018, more than 20,000 asked for asylum. These figures divide the political classes and have paralysed the country's coalition government. To help find his place and a feeling of belonging here, Hussein is part of an artistic project called Homelands. 8 refugee artists work with locals through painting, photography, music, fashion design, dance and drawings in a process of artistic co-creation.
Okay, guys, let's make this into a joint adventure and let's just jump into something we don't know.
Sergio, can I ask you, what exactly has been happening today and what's the aim of today?
We are not even halfway in a 6 months project where we have different artists from a migration background working together with other people here in the group who will be working with local communities. And it's actually, first of all, to create a community amongst them. And second of all, is to give them tools to work within the local communities and to learn new approaches to their practices because they're all from different artistic disciplines.
And Hussein, how has it helped you today then?
I found myself acting for the first time that I could bring something out. Today I felt that I'm more confident and I have different power somehow.
Rapper Badi is second-generation Congolese born in Brussels. He calls himself Belgican, 100% African, and 100% Belgian. He's even written a song about it.
Je dois être un mélange entre Kirikou et Mannequin Pif, de culture, de couleur, noir de peau, blanc de cœur. Je suis d'ici et de là-bas, de nulle part et d'ailleurs. On a quitté nos cases pour des casiers remplis et des cahiers vierges.
The district of Matonge gets its name from a neighborhood in Kinshasa, which is also called Matonge. This is a neighborhood with lots of artists. Towards the beginning of the 1960s, when lots of Congolese people arrived here, they decided to keep the name Matonge, and it stuck.
You also have an album called Matonge. What does Matonge mean for you?
I wanted to highlight a positive link between Belgium and Congo. I told myself that Matonge is the meeting point between the two. It's a neighborhood where the Congolese community get together, so I decided to call the album Matonge.
Badi, you call yourself Belgican. What does it mean?
Actually, the nickname Belgican was given to me by my grandparents in Congo. It refers to the first students who came from Congo to Belgium. I like it because often I'm asked, are you Belgian or Congolese? After a while I said, I'm 100% Belgian and 100% Congolese, so Belgican.
Do you feel at home in Brussels?
Yes, I feel at home. Brussels is cosmopolitan. Even the people with whom I work come from different countries: Congo, Morocco, Turkey, the US, France. So I get to change, I get to discover another world just by crossing the street.
Is it easy or is it hard to live in a place where everyone is a minority?
I think there's a Brussels spirit which is predominant. It transcends one's origins. For instance, I grew up in a neighborhood of Brussels that was not, let's say, impoverished. So I was really part of the minority. I was the only black kid in my class for a long time. There was a lot of prejudice. There still is, because we don't know the other person. We have preconceived ideas. At the moment, we're doing a lot of concerts in school, so it's a good opportunity to dialogue with children. Sometimes they ask me, do you know how to play the djembe, or do you speak African? And I say to them, no, just because I'm black and I play music doesn't mean that I know how to play the djembe.
comprend pourquoi Malcolm Little est devenu Malcolm X. C'est pas un comics, il n'y a pas de Superman noir. Il y a l'effet Obama, mais pour l'instant, je demande qu'à voir. Itinéraire d'un rappeur devenu entrepreneur, la rue Monseigneur, qu'ici l'homme blanc reste le grand seigneur, car ni Joseph Désiré, ni Laurent Désiré ne réalisèrent mes désirs de liberté.
Breaking down barriers through music and bringing music to young people, Badi works with the organisation Jeunesse Musicale, going into schools to talk about prejudice and tolerance and teach kids about rap and slam music.
Est-ce qu'il y a un sujet que vous avez envie de parler, qui vous tiendrait à cœur? Voilà, je t'écoute.
Le divorce.
Le divorce, l'amour.
Voilà.
Le racisme, je sais.
Quand j'ai commencé à grandir, mon cœur a commencé à mourir.
What are you working on today?
We're working on the theme of poverty and wealth.
Et la richesse.
Do you want to write a chorus, for example?
Basically, one person will say one thing, another person another line, and so on.
Is this the first time you've written slam poetry, or have you tried it before?
No, it's our first time. It's a really fun workshop. It helps us develop our imagination.
In class, paper balls fly. When you're bullied, that's not how it's written. You don't dare talk about it.
What topic have you chosen?
Bullying.
Before you met Badi, did you have any preconceptions about people who do slam?
Yes, we thought rappers are those who treat women as less than nothing and who used them. Whereas here, we're working on a very specific topic, and we are making up rhymes.
And there are a lot more people who listen to rap than those who listen to politics or things like that.
Tu vas dans la cour et les bruits courent, les mots méchants, c'est pas marrant.
C'est malaisant d'être devant, les témoins ne font rien, ils ont peur d'être traités comme des chiens.
Quand t'es harcelé, tu n'oses pas en parler. Sur Instagram, c'est le drame.
Par les SMS, les mots blessent. Les amis continuent leur vie. Sur la photo de classe, on t'efface.
Plus de respect, plus de paix.
Badi works to open up the conversation between different cultures. But for many of the Congolese diaspora, living here under the shadow of Belgium's colonial past isn't easy. The Royal Museum of Central Africa has been a symbol of Belgium's colonial oppression of Congo since the early 1900s. Badi, up until now, Congolese people didn't like this museum. Why?
In fact, it's because there was a universal exhibition in 1897 in this park here, and they had recreated a Congolese village. Human zoos were quite a common thing at the time, and 7 or 8 Congolese people died. The museum was considered a colonial symbol of Belgium. We've always felt that it doesn't represent us.
After 5 years of renovations and a new name, the Africa Museum is now trying to better reflect the shared history of Belgium and Congo, which was under Belgian rule for more than half a century until 1960. Badi, what's your first impression of this room?
It reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of the first time I came here during a school excursion. These statues were at the entrance. There was a large hall. And then I came back here as an adult. It was only then that I comprehended the colonial aspect in the representation of the African people and of black men.
The images and sculptures that you see here were previously part of the permanent exhibition, but no longer belong in that context.
The museum recognises there's no longer room for these kind of works, but do you think it's good they're being shown in here?
There were dark moments in the past, but it's important to be able to show this to the public.
What image does it give of the Congolese man?
It gives the impression of a savage. That was the goal of colonization, really. The idea that they were saving these people, teaching them, educating them.
Bonjour, Bruno.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Tell us how you've changed this museum.
We wanted to give African people and people of African origin a much, much bigger say. In the past, it was especially white experts, scientists and art historians who spoke about the artworks, who explained why they were used. Whereas now we have witnesses and contemporary figures who not only explain the beauty of these objects, but also their purpose.
The fact that the museum is giving Africans the chance to speak now is important. And also it shed lights on our culture. It's a nice change from the very Western perspective that was prevalent at the time.
It's a big change for this museum to show that there were many civilizations in Africa before the West came there. And each of them was nuanced and very rich.
This hall's a big change for the museum, isn't it?
This hall is dedicated to colonial history, which didn't exist before. But we believed it was necessary to see this history, which was a dark chapter for many people in Belgium, and to confront it.
What's interesting is that you have both sides of history here to explain and express why this period was so painful.
Molenbeek. In recent years, the centrally located district, home to some 100,000 people, has become notorious as an alleged breeding ground for terrorists. The men suspected of being behind the Paris terror attacks in 2015 and the Brussels attacks the year after had links with the area.
Streets were closed down, militaries came. It was just terrifying. It was terrible. Terrorists came from here, so we were seen, not me because I'm white, I'm Flemish, but the people were just blamed for what happened, whereas they were victims.
Flemish graphic artist Judith van Istendaal has lived in Molenbeek for 15 years. When the attacks happened in 2015, she drew these portraits of women to try and give a face to a place dubbed by some media the jihadi capital of Europe.
I could be a journalist in a very different way than all the journalists invading the neighborhood. I knew people here, I live here, I knew them personally, so I could take my time and let them tell their story in a different way. I think I did it just to show that a slower voice, not this coming to the neighborhood, interviewing and just going away again.
There are problems here though, aren't there, in Molenbeek?
Still, yes, of course, there is poverty. It's very poor.
What about this artistic community? Because it seems that more and more
very poor too.
Are moving into the area. That's because it's cheap.
I think so. There is big industrial spaces because it's an industrial community. It's next to the water. So you have big warehouses that are empty, so you can have lots of space. It's very central, and other neighborhoods in Brussels where there are a lot of artists, they are already completely gentrified. And so they become completely sterile. They're not interesting to live in anymore, whereas here it's just, yeah, not sterile.
Multiculturalism, living together and belonging are strong themes in Judith's work. She illustrated the book series Rosie and Musa about two kids living in Molenbeek from very different backgrounds who become the best of friends.
In real life, do people and communities mix together well, like in the book?
No, not really. They mix, but not so very, very, very much. We live in the same streets and we are nice to each other. And sometimes there's friendship, but it's not, in Dutch we would say moonlight and rosy. I think it's already a good thing to just live together in the same street and to be nice to each other and be good neighbors.
Judith draws Molenbeek because it's what she knows. She hopes showing the area through her books that are translated into numerous languages will help improve its image.
What you see here is poverty. You see problems. You see people without papers because there is an uncle who doesn't have his papers, who is illegal. You see jail. You see kids in divorced families. So you see the whole thing of living in difficult situations. But at the same time, you see that they have fantasy and they play together and that there's adults around that are nice to them and they have fun together and they make music and theater like everywhere else.
The people of Molenbeek are trying to rebuild its battered reputation and also get to grips with some of the problems here: crime, drugs and unemployment. Over the past 5 years, there's been much regeneration with several new cultural centres like the Canal Pompidou opening up. Dirk de Blik is the director of the Cultural and Social Cohesion Centre of Molenbeek. Art and culture seem to be everywhere in Molenbeek. Was that always the case?
Well, it's not the case everywhere in Molenbeek, unfortunately. Here along the canal, it's increasingly the case, so it's quite recent. The associations were very present. Now, in front of the canal, there are some enormous cultural institutions like the Canal Pompidou, Mima, which is next door to it, La Fonderie, a little bit further along just behind.
Do these new cultural spots bring a lot to the local community?
It allows us to put forward a positive view of the community. Importantly, it brings a lot to its image and reputation. Do people in Molenbeek benefit from this? Well, that's another question.
Are they the ones visiting these cultural sites?
I find that they don't visit it enough. All the institutions I mentioned tried to get the Molenbeek people involved, but I think we really need to go further, work with the schools, and bring them here from a very young age.
Nearly 30% of the population in Molenbeek don't have jobs, compared to the national average of around 6%. And youth unemployment is even higher, at nearly 40%. Investing in young people is the key. The Cultural and Social Cohesion Centre of Molenbeek has been working with the community since 2006. One of the weekly workshops here at the centre is the Film and Photo Club, led by Zakaria El Bakali.
Oui, c'est dommage parce que voilà, on a le personnage, il est là, le studio, il est frais, avec le fond, il faut juste qu'il soit une chouette photo.
How long have you been doing these workshops for, Zakaria?
We started now a long time. It was 2010. The first time it was for us just to open the space, to give this the opportunity for the young people from Molenbeek to take the pleasure, to learn how you can use the camera, how can make the movie. They work 2 hours every Wednesday and Saturday also. Try together with these young people to tell something positive, to show for everybody. Molenbeek, it's really the commune with a lot of culture, with a lot of solidarities.
I like how you're smiling here. He's in front and he's looking that way, and you're behind and you're looking the other way. It's awesome.
After the 2015 terror attacks that put Molenbeek in the spotlight, these students created Molenbeek is My Home, a film aimed at changing its image. What do you get out of this workshop?
Personally, it allows me to grow. It allowed me to express myself, to not just stay in a corner, to give my opinion and to make my own opinion. Initially, I was more in this frame of mind that I should be told what I'm meant to know and think. Here, though, they ask me, what do you think?
Molenbeek actually seems a great place for culture and to open up the minds of young people.
Absolutely. I'm surprised. In the beginning, when I came here, I was surprised that there were even activities here. And then I discovered that there are a lot of exhibitions, lots of parties, and often there are well-known artists who come. Comedians, singers, and stage actors. And all this for an affordable price to ensure that culture is accessible to everyone.
So here, you're actually breaking down prejudice and stereotypes thanks to culture.
We don't want to break it down. We know that it doesn't exist. We just realized that after the terror attacks, there were a lot of young people who were lost between the image that the public had of them and their perception of themselves. That's why there are places like this one, to tell young people that there's more to them, and to tell them you have the possibility to develop this and show this side of yourselves.
Workshops like these are key to breaking down barriers between the many different people living in this cosmopolitan city. Brussels sits in the heart of a Europe facing rising nationalism, and although people don't always mix and things aren't perfect, there's much cultural work going on to help the different communities here set an example for the rest of the continent.
Bruxelles для мене це multiculturalna столиця. C'est une ville de différentes diversités.
C'est la ville où on peut réaliser ses rêves.
Au Bruxelles съм няколко напреживила.
Et c'est là qu'on peut trouver les meilleures frites